All right, here we go. RBA Tuesday. What are we at? 10 to 11. So just before we get any sort of, I'd say serious volume, but Asia session serious volume sort of coming into the market. Um, I'll start off with gold because this just got absolutely wrecked from the highs. As I said, like yesterday, though, like I was shorting this. I was trying to get on 2040. I'll keep going on about this because it frustrates me a lot that sort of you're trying to trade through these platforms, and I trade with IG, and they were just sort of closing the market, so you couldn't even. I don't know if people were long, if they could get out of their positions or what, but right, certainly right up the top there, I was trying to add weight, add weight, add weight. Excuse me. But anyway, sort of yeah, the sell down here. I mean, if you think about this was the move right through here, and this was a monster move. If you look at this, have I got on here? No. If you drag this one out, maybe I've got it on the other one. It's the 161 that it's come back to. Here we go. This is yesterday's pump, just off that one candle. Like, so I'm not looking for the whole move here, but just in regards to that one candle pump move up here. Longs were ripping and ripping, and this is what I was saying yesterday. That basically this is, obviously a little bit of FOMO buying, but I think anybody that knew anything was kind of like, already in their positions, and they were exiting up through here and adding to short. So I think FOMO buying into here mainly sort of stops being hit, and it has just punished it. And it was, as we can see, it's finding some support now around these lower marked out levels. And this is why I say it's important to sort of mark out these levels, because it plays an integral part on the way up and the way down. I mean, not all these levels are going to hold every time. As I said, you could probably sort of think around here, this 127 would have sort of held a little bit coming down here. Sort of obviously the sort of 35 around that level may have held a bit, but it's decided to chop all the way back down here. And it has really sort of punished anybody that FOMO bought. And this is, I mean, that's the price you pay for FOMO, I guess. But either way, sort of, yeah, they're really sort of hammering it down here on the short. So this is the thing, sort of like, with myself, I'm in and out and I'm trading, and that, means that sometimes, I was getting out. I think I sold my last ones around the 60s, around this little drop down here. And for a brief moment, I was like, wow, look at this. I've sold it, like sort of covered the shorts and that at the lows. This is great. And then you go through and bang, coming down for another leg further. And obviously this is from 71 down to, I mean, just the sheer size of this whole move from the highs up here. I mean, of course, there would have been people that bought the highs, but look at that, 6%, $126 in one day, a couple of hours, whatever it sort of worked out to be. That is an incredible sell-off to the downside. But you got to think, okay, have they hit enough stops from longs now? Because anybody that got in from the morning, or even if they got in sort of halfway up here, or they tried to get in here, or any of these sort of points, and go, okay, look, if it goes under stop, like anybody that's bought above 2076 and they're trading technical stop levels and shit, they probably would have put them around 64. And this is probably why saw this little bounce here, took out the stops, and then okay, bang, close. They're just sort of covering any sort of like positions coming down here, a little bounce, and then as it took out that candle wick, bang, next leg down. But you got to think, have they hit enough of them now? Because the typical sort of stop levels through this, you probably would have had them about here, a bit in change, a little bit here. You would have had some stops here. Obviously, anybody trying to grab the bounce, I would have had here, but I wouldn't really count that too much. But another definite level would have been around here, and then sort of going down and down, these sort of things here. So you sort of think, look, if it goes up here, if it comes back down, I'll protect myself. This is the feeling of these sort of people, and I'll put my stop under here, clips it down, okay, bang, moving up now. So I don't think we're going to see, a shoot back up to the top up here. But I think certainly now, if you look at this is on 1 hour. It's breaking past this little short-term resistance. Where we at? So 1054. So we're coming into the close of the 1 hour. So if we drill this down and we go, okay, this would be our little sort of short-term support. We've got a bit of a sort of a rising move through here. We've got the RSI ticking back up. I've added some longs at this level. I had orders fill down here, and I've added some more as well. So yeah, ready to go now. But yeah, certainly I think that we could see some recovery up through here. Back up into this range probably would be a sort of reasonable sort of level to sort of say we could come down. I mean, as I said, this is on a 1 hour and there's chop down here. So, there's a good chance that we have some pretty strong sort of volatility um, through these whole periods here because they move so quickly. If you look how quickly it moved from 66 down to 36, sorry, 36 up to 66, and then likewise pretty much in the reverse of the mid 60s back down here. It does like to sort of chop through this area. There was a bit of a grind here previously, so again we could be respecting this same sort of thing and it could sort of pop up into here, but I'd say sort of 2050 will put a bit of a short-term cap on it because all things considered, despite this sort of stuff here, we saw that the sellers were here, more or less about here, so over here. So we know for whatever reason, given not, if you take the sort of news drivers, catalysts out of it, these are areas where the market was trying to sell it. We moved through this on on Jay Powell's comments, and then we moved up here on technical, so the short stops. So it would stand to reason that we probably come back to a little bit of the sort of normal, in commas, sort of normalish price action. So a move up into here, I'd expect it may possibly a little bit of a range through this zone here, and then we'd have to sort of see what they do with the US. As I've said a couple of times, I'm still sort of tipping a sort of downside move on the US, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen today or tomorrow kind of thing. We've got a fair bit of sort of US news coming out this week, which is definitely going to be the sort of market moving stuff. So first of all, we need to get above this little bottom zone here, which we've marked out. This is our previous support, so now it's going to act at some sort of level of resistance. Up above here, I'd expect, as I said, probably a move up to around the completion and fill of this 1 hour candle. So this is where I'll be sort of taking a little bit of profit once we sort of can get up into this zone over here. A little short term, that's our price target for it in here now. And then I'd imagine sort of something to this sort of effect. Yeah. Similar to basically what we had through here, just choppy up and down sort of stuff. So that's what I'm looking for gold in the short term. I'll try and make this video a little bit quicker. Sometimes I tend to sort of push on. There's a lot to talk about with these things. Aussie, same sort of thing, and this is what I was saying last night. I thought it had a bit more of a downside, and again, I'm not a sort of long-term holder sort of thing, so I leave a little bit of money on the table for sure. But I was shorting up around this level over here yesterday. I can't remember where I closed the last one, maybe around the 30s or something like this. No, probably a little bit higher. I think it was maybe around the 50s or so. So I captured this sort of part of the move. Again, for a moment, you're like, wow, I've done the right thing here. I was thinking about it here. I thought there was going to be a little bit more pain to come, but I thought, look, I had a pretty good day yesterday. I didn't want to push the envelope, so I thought, look, we'll push it back down here. I did get fills overnight down at the 66.10 level. So through this little move down here, we do have a little bit of a head and shoulders forming here, if you can see this one. So like Aussie does typically doesn't mind a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders. So this sort of move through here, which we're seeing sort of play out at the moment. And this gives us a sort of measure move price target. I think it was worked out to around 40. So let's go Templar measured move and call that sort of neckline. So yeah, 37, which is up around these sort of wick highs, this sort of previous level over here. So short-term price target would be up around this sort of 40-ish kind of level. If we can break through this neckline, so above 21, looking up to around 37 to 40 realistically. But you've got to keep in mind we do have RBA today as well. They are tipped to hold, which favours a technical move to the downside for the Aussie. But as I've said, I think sort of we can still have somewhat textbook negative news or weakening news for the Aussie. And if they decide to sell off the US dollar, we can still see a little bit of a move to the top side here. Looking at Aussie, I'll just do this quickly as well. That's a little short-term sort of target for it all, and then maybe a little pullback. And then I think sort of if we do get some hawkish comments, even with a hold, I think sort of we're going to see Aussie get sold down and bought straight back up again. but we'll have to sort of wait and see how that one sort of plays out. I just do want to flip onto Aussie on a wider time frame just for a moment because, as I said, if we go out and sort of, oh, maybe it was on this other one, I marked it out. This is the move from the lows. So, this is, I think, sort of about 6.5, somewhere around that percent move from the lows. So Aussie has really obviously been pushing to the top side here. And you kind of look at where we are in terms of sort of like why we're pulling back and all this. We're coming into this big sort of falling resistance. So as I said a couple of times, 67, 67.20-ish, these are going to be tough levels to break through. And you can see Aussie's tried to come back here, punched up again, gave people, like myself, a chance to sort of exit any of those last sort of long positions from around the top there. And, we're just sort of hovering here. We are kind of in a little bit of a, let's clean this up a little bit. We are in a little bit of a sort of consolidation here. We've obviously found some decent support at 66. This isn't going to say necessarily we are going to hold because obviously we've got RSI sort of tipping back down. We've got the RBA sort of coming out tipping to hold. There's a good chance that you see a push down here and you come down to 65.50 before you see some sort of push back up to the top side. Though, as I said, I'm still in the camp of going higher with Aussie. So I still think that we do have a little bit of a move coming through here. And as I'll sort of point out in a couple of things, if we have a look at this, maybe on the weekly, might show it a little bit better. You could sort of say that we're sort of in a bit of a sort of, fourth leg of a sort of Elliott wave move. So this being your first move up here, I'm going to do it on the daily, might show a little bit better. And this is a sort of line that I've got marked out here for it as well. So this being your first move, first leg up, second leg pull back, third leg bigger than the first leg. The third leg's renowned to be the sort of the biggest leg of these sort of things. So you're coming back here, then say you pull back down to 65s, low 65s even. It's called sort of around this at 65.40, whatever. This could very much be a pattern. So this would be your third leg through here. We could be seeing a further sort of pullback down here, which could still be regarded as healthy before we move up to the top side again. Because even if you look at this whole move and you go through a fib level, coming down to this level, say you come down here and you hit off the 38, we know that we've got a pretty strong level of previous resistance. So we know that the stronger it is as a resistance, the stronger it's going to be as support. It's not going to go through straight away. So there's a good chance that if we do get down to these levels here, we're still at the 38% of this move. And that 38%, if we get a bounce and a push up off that, that's still very strong in terms of regarded as a healthy pullback to take on that next leg. And that could give us our fifth leg higher. So as I said, I still think Aussie will be going higher. I think short term we may see some further cooling. If we do get some cooling down here, that's fine. I'll just be looking to sort of add to sort of positions. Let's flip across DXY real quickly. DXY, I think pretty much it was coming into where we sort of marked it out, price level wise anyway, just tipped over. So we're seeing a test. I will clean these charts up. I do like them. It tells a story of all the trades. If you go back through all the videos, you can see as we mapped it out, all the price targets and everything. It is pretty good, but it does get a little bit sloppy and hard to sort of read. 4 hour will show this a little bit better. Look, we've got this downward channel coming through here. This little circle's where we marked it up yesterday. The price action basically still, I'm in the camp of this sort of thing here, coming up to make connection with this falling resistance. Obviously this went down, then up, but still I expect this kind of action to be coming now as well. As I said, I think I've got this alert set up here below these lows here, which are obviously yesterday morning's lows, which are technically well as Monday, so they're weekly lows. So you take out that level here, and then I think we can see it be looking to push back down towards the side over here. This big falling resistance, I think, is something that will sort of come into effect, even if we do happen to break through here, which not necessarily we're going to in the immediate. So I do believe we will, but in the immediate, I think in the short term, we've got at least a retest of these lows coming in the sort of coming weeks before probably the end of the year. If you do look at this a little bit here as well, this sort of little rising area here, at the moment, you've got to wait for this to cross back over, and we've got to see an actual sell down here. But it is moving into, and this is the whole point with picking these negative divergences, that you've got to be able to sort of take a little bit of a, oh, that's the wrong one. You've got to take a little bit of a sort of preemptive move with it, because we are seeing this happening at the moment, where price is obviously pushing up, but the RSI is not supporting it. This isn't confirmed yet though, because if US dollar pushes up here and sort of comes out to the top side, this can in turn just push back up like this. So there's no guarantee that this is a negative divergence. It's just at this point in time, picking it a little bit earlier than it has actually crossed over. And we're seeing these sort of like rejections from these levels that we'd marked out, top side of this falling resistance, wick highs of the previous. And obviously, it's sold down a little bit into close. At this moment, this is a slight negative divergence, but you've got to wait for the confirmation. Confirmation will be pretty much taking out this lower candle here, this RSI, and this is on a 4-hour, crossing over and sort of confirming a further sort of push to the downside here. But if this continues to push up, then obviously the negative divergence is basically, it's just a cooling off before buyers are stepping in and pushing it and driving it for the next leg. If we do get a breakout from here, I think sort of around this 104.14 area is probably the next stop, which is a completion of these sort of targets to the left side over here. Copper sold down, continues to sell down from the price target. As I said, this is why we have our price targets in there, because, as I said, we're not investing, we're just sort of looking for the trades, and we're looking for the correlations with these trades as well. You're seeing Aussie sort of come down at the same time as this as well. It's really sort of coming to a base at the moment. I mean, it's that time of day where we don't really have a great deal of volume in the market to drive these sort of things. So, it's expected it's going to be a little bit slow and subdued down here. So, I mean, we're still in the area of uptrend. This sort of previous sort of support area, I think, could be the sort of a downside target if we do get a move through here. These are the areas. You've got the sort of top side of this falling resistance. You've got the horizontal, plus we've got the rising support. So if we get down into this area here, it's not to say that we could sort of find some buying support earlier than this, because we are tipping into this oversold area. It's not quite there yet, so this could support a little bit more of a downside move in the short term. If it does come down to this area here, I'm expecting a little bit of a push down and then a push back up. And these are the kind of things that will go in line with Aussie sort of pushing down a little bit further and obviously bouncing up a little bit as well. Quickly over to China. China still it's trying to get above this falling resistance here, but it has not. So it's not really doing anything. And this is what I was saying. It ground for 3 months sideways. It's obviously just recalibrated itself to a lower level down here, and I could see us very much just sort of continuing to grind along this thing down here. I've said it a number of times. This was the price target. We thought expected buyers here. It's going to be tough to crack here. These are the weekly supports. So till we get the sort of actual sort of fundamental backing to sort of get it down through here, I imagine just sort of some sideways action for now. All right, cool. That's about it from me.